Welcome to JGTCR, I'm Cope, and today we are tuning the Audi R8 LMS Evo 19. Let's get into it. Usually when manufacturers release a new model, it is an improvement over the old model. But in this case, Audi have decided to go in a different direction and throw that concept right out the window. Yes, that's correct. Everything about the 19 model has been a step back compared to the 15 model. So straight off the bat, if you're thinking about driving one of these vehicles, choose the other one. This Audi R8 is extremely tail happy and snap happy. If there is any loss of traction on the tail end, correct it immediately or face the consequences. At high RPM, this Audi is far more likely to start drifting, so it's best to use low RPM when attacking the turns. The power delivery is somewhat aggressive, but it's the chassis that refuses to allow it to grip. The handling is reasonable when we drive at low RPM. At high RPM is when we find an incredible lack of stability, so keep the revs low and the gears high. Braking is possibly the only area where the Evo 19 is slightly more superior than the LMS 15, but even then, it's not by much. Let's collect our time. 6 minutes, 27.3 seconds. On to the race tune. For our race tune on the Evo 19, the suspension was set far more hard at the rear than at the front. Interestingly, this is the opposite of what we did when we tuned the LMS 15. Our differential sees the initial torque maxed out at 60, while acceleration and braking sensitivity have both been reduced to 10 and 20 respectively, and some additional downforce was added to increase our stability through turns. Let's get back out there. When completely modified and tuned, the Audi R8 LMS Evo 19 does become a better vehicle to drive. The handling is far better, and it is less likely to step out and start drifting at the most inopportune times. When this R8 does slide, it is far less likely to snap back aggressively. The power delivery is still mildly aggressive, but is very reasonable when putting it down to the ground. And the brakes are now reasonably solid without too much wriggliness on the tail end when we brake hard. While the LMS Evo 19 has seen some decent improvements, it is still an advanced driver's race car, so maintaining speed and control consistently while under pressure may still be a difficult task for some. Let's jump ahead and collect our time. 6 minutes, 14.6 seconds. And now the drift tune. Once again, our drift tune for the Audi R8 has to be Frankensteined to make it work. Our suspension settings are very soft in both anti-roll bar and natural frequency. Our differential settings sees initial torque maxed all the way at 60 points, while acceleration and braking sensitivity are both reduced to 10 points each. We have ballast of 200 kilos at a ballast positioning of -25 over the front wheels. Let's go drifting. The Audi R8 LMS Evo 19 is the last R8 chassis left to tune on Gran Turismo 7. And this brings me joy to no end, as these chassis are horrible to tune. They are moody and unpredictable, and oftentimes, even if we get them to respond more appropriately to our inputs, they still never end up feeling quite right. The LMS Evo 19 has kept the higher performance turbo. As such, there is more power to play with, and it is easier to initiate and maintain a drift. And as the format is MR, we don't have the front wheels trying to pull us straight. The handling isn't great, but it can hold a drift, and that's really all that we need for this segment of the video. Due to the soft suspension and the excess weight, transitions can be sloppy and janky, but unfortunately this is what is required to make the R8 drift. Again, what it comes down to is that this Audi can drift, it's just not that comfortable when we do drift. And this reduces the fun factor, and if it's not fun, then why are we doing it? The Audi R8 LMS Evo 19, much like its predecessor, is an advanced driver's race car. In factory trim, it cares not for your excuses. If not driven correctly, it will punish you. When modified and tuned, this Audi becomes more lenient to our indiscretions. However, it does rule with an iron fist, and should we push too hard, it does not hesitate to go back to its old ways. As a drift car, it works and is capable, but is a far cry from the kind of vehicle that should be considered for such an event. And that's all we have for you today, so until next time, keep racing!